This week I'm going to turn these 8 2x4s into this porch swing. So let's get started. The first step that I'm going to take is to remove about a 32nd of an inch on both sides of my stock. And I'm going to do this with my planer. As you can see, I kind of rearranged the shop just a little bit to get better use of this planer. I spent a lot of money on this planer and I want to use it, so having a dedicated space for it greatly increases the opportunity for me to use it. And also putting it in this hallway, as you can see, I've got a lot of room for in-feed and out-feed, and this setup works really well. Before I cut my arm pieces to length, I need to make sure that they're the appropriate width first. I need to get these down to 3 inches wide, so I'm just going to remove a 1/4 inch on one side, flip it over, and remove a 1/4 inch on the other side. I'm going to do this to 2 full 8-foot 2x4s. Now before I cut any of my half laps, I have them sitting in the appropriate orientation for both the left and the right side of the arm assembly. And that's for good reason. On a regular half lap joint that's just 90 degrees on both sides, it really doesn't matter. You can just cut them all and then put each piece in wherever you want to. But because these are angled half laps, they have to be in a specific orientation. So I don't really have that much flexibility as far as using multiple pieces wherever I want to. So I'm going to leave the pieces in this exact setup and take them over to the table saw one by one to cut this angled half lap. Alright, real quick I want to run through how I make a kerf maker style stop block. That's going to give me the perfect distance that I need to travel to make these half laps absolutely perfect. So this is a piece of scrap from the same stock that I'm working with, and with the outside edge of the table saw blade, the dado stack, I want to line it up against the fence so that I'm just about a fingernail past. My fingernail can just barely grab against this tooth. Alright, now what that did is remove just the thickness of the dado stack that I'm working with, and this remaining material is the distance traveled, so we'll use this to measure when making the rest of our half laps. Alright, this may get a little confusing, so I'll try to explain it the best I can. This is just a scrap piece of pine with 2 runners, and both of these are measured 15 degrees off of perpendicular from this blade, so 15 degree faces. And that's because all the angles in this bench are 15 degrees. So now I need to know, obviously I can start right where this is, but how far this way do I need to go for my first half lap? Well, that's where the spacing guide comes into play, this kerf maker stop block. I can slide it up against the blade right here, and basically I need to stop where this reference face is over here. So I'm just using a piece of, this is actually my stop block for my miter saw station. What I can do is rest this edge up against the bottom of my sled, slide it into place like so. So now this edge is actually where I need to stop. I can make my runs up into here. But in order for me to get this in a stationary position, I'm just going to move my table saw fence over to one side and clamp it down. That way, you just run this up against this side and run this up against like so. And I should be able to get some perfect half laps like this. Alright, so this is the back rest piece, and it needs not only a half lap down at the bottom, but it also needs one right about here. So basically I need to duplicate these 2 half laps onto the bottom back support. So what I'm doing is I've set up my fence so that my last cut before I cannot go any further is right in line with this. So I'm not going to cut any further than here because I stopped up against the fence. Now where do I start at? That's what we're going to use our use our Kerf Maker stop block for again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this block up against the fence, telling it to start right there. And as you can see, that is right where this half lap is starting. And then we will go all the way up to the fence where this half lap is stopping. I'm really happy with the way this turned out, so no adjustments needed. I'm just going to go ahead and glue all this together. I've got both of my arm assemblies completely glued together, and on the bottom piece of both arm assemblies, in the front side, right where this half lap stops, I need to create a 90-degree cut right here. And that's because the seat slat is going to start right here, and I don't want anything else sticking out forward on the seat slat. It was easier to make the half lap and then cut it later than it would have been to make this cut before I assembled. Alright, now that I have the arms in the final shape that they're going to be in, I can start trimming out the bottom, which will actually be the support to screw the slats in. And what I've done is taken one of my 2x4s and ripped it down into 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch strips. And I'm going to line that along the back edge of the back supports and also along the bottom of the arm itself as well. So I've got a couple pieces cut here. I just need to mark and make my final cuts and then screw them into the arm itself. As you can see behind me, I'm just about ready for my final assembly, but first I want to take all of my slats and on the top side run them through a 1/4 inch roundover bit. For the final assembly, I've got this whole thing flipped upside down and it's just resting across 2 of these seat slats. I've got it clamped down in the back and I verified that these are 90 degrees. And what I've already done is pre-drilled 2 holes on either side of this first slat. We're going to start referencing off the front face and work our way back this way. And 2 screws per slat from the 2x2 into the slat from below. With the first slat secured, I could use the end of a drill bit to space my second slat by 1/8 of an inch. Tell this is a pretty big swing, so all I've got left to do is sand the whole thing down and then install the eye bolts. So this thing is going to be hung by 4 of these big 3/8 of an inch eye bolts. Now in a perfect world I would have been able to find some a little bit shorter, but these are the only length that I could find, so it's just a little bit long for my liking, but you know, it works. And when I put them through, I made sure that they go through not only the side, the arm, but also this support piece back here, this 2x2. One on the top corner of the back, and then one down there at the bottom of both arms. Alright, so here it is, all done, all sanded, ready to go. I built this for somebody who obviously has a porch. They're going to be doing all the finishing to that. I don't know if they're going to paint it or what, but you know, it's a pretty big swing. It's a lot bigger than what I thought it would be. I have no way to show you the actual swing swinging because I have no way to hang it up. So sorry about that, but you know, this is a neat little project. I wish I had some place to actually hang one. It's a comfortable size. I'm a short guy. I'm only 5'6", so you know, you can kind of get a size comparison. This is big enough for anybody, really. And you know, it's pretty darn strong. So this project's in the books. If you like what you see, like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.